wherever you are in the world. My name is Viola Edwards, and I am the co-ambassador for WED Cyprus. Thanks to dearest Janice Ruffle, who has been the ambassador for some years now, and she's sharing with me this beautiful work representing Women Entrepreneurship Day organization for Cyprus. So today we are celebrating, like every year, on the 19th of November. And I'm so pleased and happy and thrilled that I'm surrounded by a beautiful group, wonderful group of friends and colleagues, international, that has been doing their best to be with us today. And I will be introducing them one by one for you. Before that, I would like to share with you why is it that we choose the theme of our webinar as Women of Influence. Because this is a time of change. This is a time of getting the best of the old and creating the best and of the new, and settling between the balance between the old and the new. Actually, we're exploring a way of resilient leadership that is firm and yet feminine, assertive yet balanced, inspirational yet grounded. In this webinar, in this sharing together, we will be exploring the stories and the work of exceptional women, leaders who have dedicated their life to drive impact and greatness using their inner resources, experience, and influence to make a difference in their families, communities, societies, and the world at large. Of course, these 6 women today are representing so many dear friends and colleagues around the world who are doing so many great things. And we needed to have example of so many women in the world doing great things in everywhere. So also I want to share with you the other reason why we are here today. WED mission is WED ignites women leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs to initiate startup, drive economic expansion, and advance community worldwide. WED is celebrated in 144 countries and 65 universities and colleges internationally. With ambassador like myself and Janice worldwide, WED is creating the greatest worldwide movement to empower women in business to alleviate poverty. Thank you very much for being with us today. And thank you to Paolo, our support in our technical support. And also I need to mention here our dearest Stephanie Beckham-Distras, who is our board member for WED Cyprus too. So I have asked one of my dearest new colleagues and friends, the WED ambassador of Venezuela, that she has a very busy day and she kindly gave us the time to be with us today. I want to introduce you Claudia Valladares. Mi querida Claudia, bienvenida. We both are Venezuelan, so I'm very, very emotional today to have Claudia here. Claudia is a multi-awarded social entrepreneur, passionate about making a difference in the world. She is the co-founder and president of Impact Hub Caracas, CA. She has been a coach in the formation of new impact hubs around the world, especially in Africa and Latin America, as a consultant for numerous corporates, clients promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. And in any interview everywhere, if you ask Claudia, what is her one thing, what is her mission, what's her purpose, she would say, eradicate poverty. Claudia is, as I said before, the Venezuelan WED ambassador. Welcome, Claudia, and we would like you to tell us, how is it that you created this hub, and how is it that you're doing to spread so big and so great, even though many of us, we know what Venezuela is going through. How is it that you do it? Welcome to our webinar, and the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, Viola, and thank you very much, Janice, for this invitation. I'm very honored, very grateful. And I'm very happy to be with you here through this screen that sometimes we hope that we can hug each other through the screen. But I'm very happy to share with you my humble experience in why it's important to celebrate this day and what are we doing here in Venezuela every day to celebrate women. It's not only today. First of all, I would like to recognize the importance of working with women and why we do it. The founder of this movement, W.E.D, always said that and remind us that 85% of the consumer purchases are in the hands of women, and we control without knowing it 20 trillion in global spending. But at the same time, there's so many things. For example, we as women only perform 66% of the world's work, both paid and unpaid. And however, we only earn 10% of the world's income. So there's many people who is not taking, many women that their work is not taken into account. And we want to put women in the center because women have the power of distribute wealth around their families, around their children, around their communities. And this is super proved, for example, in the microfinance industry, where we have lent so many trillions of dollars to women, and the recover collection rate, it's super high. It's almost zero delinquency rate because women pay. And however, 1.3 people, women, are living in severe poverty globally, women and men, and 70% of these 1.3 million people around the globe, it's women and girls. So I told you, I'm telling you about all this because we wanted to change this. We wanted to change the fact also that women in STEM are very few. STEM, it's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we only have 35% of women participating in careers that needs to do with STEM and in the world at the university level. And from that number that already is very small, only 3% pursue careers around technology, information, and communications. So we really wanted to change this, especially after this pandemic that has changed all our lives, but especially have extreme the difference between the ones that who have access and the one who doesn't. And that's what we are talking now about, the digital divide. So here in Venezuela, we have started the Impact Hub Caracas precisely because we wanted to change this. It's not possible that so many people are left behind, and especially so many women and girls. So we started the Impact Hub back in 2014 in the middle of a chaos in Venezuela. We're still in a chaos. It seems to be never ending. But at that moment, it was even worse with regards of protesting on the streets and, all sort of noises and march and barricades and bombing and everything that you can imagine. And in the middle of this chaos, we opened the doors of Impact Hub Caracas precisely because we wanted to our surroundings, we wanted to change the status quo, and we wanted to use it, the entrepreneurship, as a tool for sustainable development. So we formed this community of entrepreneurs in order to promote entrepreneurship with impact, or impact entrepreneurship, as we call it, and especially triple impact entrepreneurship. We wanted to make it happen. And while new enterprises or NGOs or foundations or whatever initiative somebody wants to create, the idea is to make it conscious of all the good that you can do in your hands, tied to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals that we all know, And so our community is committed with that huge goal to contribute to the Agenda 2030. And then we have different services that we offer to our entrepreneurs here around three main pillars: inspiring, connecting, and enabling entrepreneurs. I personally have worked, as Viola was mentioning, helping other impact hubs to grow here in Latin America, but also in Africa. And fortunately, now we have a very robust network across the globe. We have more than 100 impact hubs in the world, in all the continents. And we are super happy because everything that we are doing, all the impact that we are creating locally, but globally connected. So every impact hub embrace and take all the challenges that we have in our own contexts, and we create programs, we create services, we create mentorships, we create everything around what we wanted to change. And in our case in Venezuela, as I mentioned before, we have a great accent in working with women. We have ensure that our community is well balanced with regards of gender, but also with regards of many other things. We have a really diverse community of entrepreneurs and innovators that have a house here physically at Impact Hub Caracas, and from here that connect to each other. They found their mentors. They can train themselves in different skills or learn something new, or start growing little by little their entrepreneurships, incubating them or scaling them or accelerating them. So our community is 50-50% women and men, but we have also, as I mentioned at the beginning, ensure that every woman has also a voice that is heard. And we are starting now a new program that we call Women Power Talks. It's an exchange also with American culture in the United States. And we are going to start this exchange of women in business that wanted to spread what they're doing around different topics like slow fashion or climate change or sustainability or circular economy or artificial intelligence and many other topics. And we are super happy to be starting it now in the middle of the pandemic. We also have many different programs for girls, disadvantaged girls from very vulnerable communities, especially Technovation Girls. That is one of our main programs. We have trained more than 200 girls in STEM. We have helped them to identify a problem in their community and use technology as a tool to develop an app, a mobile app that could solve this problem. We have trained more than 200 girls already. In 14 weeks is the program, and they become entrepreneurs. They start working not only around the app, but around a business plan to change whatever they feel they need to change around them. And same as that, we have many other programs like Impact Girls, which is a program that is focused on early pregnancy prevention. We have a very high rate in Venezuela. It's unfortunately, one of the first countries in Latin America with this problem, and we need to do something. So we are training our girls or educate them in values in order to take their lives in their own hands. And also we are working in another program to prevent gender-based violence, which is another problem that we are living globally. We have many other programs, and I would love to tell you more, but I know that the time is short. But just as a final reflection, I would like to make us think why women and why to support women today and any day. And I love one campaign that Viola has put in all the flyers, that it says, choose women. And when we choose women, we are supporting their businesses. when we choose women, we are inviting everyone to choose women authors to read, women filmmakers to watch, choose women feats, share their voices, share their music, share their comedy, share their art, share their technology. Choose women also as leader. And because every time that you choose one woman, you are supporting all women everywhere. And that's why I love to celebrate this day, especially today. I'm very honored to be celebrating with you, and I'm very open to share with you and to take any question, any comment that you could have. I'm here to respond it with happiness.
Thank you so much. Mil gracias. Thank you so much for this beautiful, deep, and meaningful sharing, Claudia. And certainly, you honor the goal number 17 of the SDG. Let's don't leave anyone behind, because you mentioned so many categories, so many people in your program that I think you have thought in a lot of areas in our societies. And anyway, if there is anybody, any organization, or any theme that is left, obviously, by our caring alliances, and this is what the number 17 is about, it's like togetherness, better together. It's like togetherness, we will make it happen, because none of us will be able to do it all. So, and of course, I back you totally that every time you support a woman, you're supporting half of the world, but mostly you're supporting a family. You're supporting a pillar of a family, and you're supporting. And every time you support a family, you're impacting the community. And every time you impact a community, there is a change in that society and in that culture. So here we have some question for you. Personally, I just have thanks, and I know you have a very busy day. And I want you all to meet Claudia in this part of the world, and people who didn't know her yet, because she's really doing a great work in Latin America and in Africa, and hopefully very soon we'll be doing things together in Europe too. Claudia, we will have this recording for you in case of you need to leave very soon, I know. But we have one more minute if you want to give just last message for all women and men that are listening to us today, because we know what we're working for is to live in a sphere where every woman own her femininity and every man his masculinity, and feel safe to share fully with women in different areas of life. And then we live in a sphere beyond the gender of women and men, and there, when it's togetherness, it's sustainable. And I know that when Wendy Diamond created WEDO in 2013, this is what she was thinking about. This is the expansion she wants for all of us. So, yeah. Claudia, any last message for this webinar you would like to give?
Sure, Viola, I would like to remind us that I guess we achieve the most of us when we are in balance. And I guess the world is better in balance when we find within ourselves the right balance. When we the women find within ourselves also this power of masculine that we all have, or when the masculine or a male find within themselves also their femininity. So I guess when we come together and we are all in balance, using the best of our power, we can create wonderful things. And I would love to not talk anymore about gender, because everybody's equal one day. The same as I don't want to continue talking about social entrepreneurship or impact entrepreneurship, because I would love to just, when you mention the word entrepreneurship or entrepreneur, implicitly, they are all creating impact. So I really wish one day we don't need to do distinctions or emphasize or focus on specific gender, because we are all equal, and I really hope for that.
Thank you so much. Mil gracias otra vez.
Gracias.
And we have a beautiful message from dearest Paula Savas. She said, you Venezuelan ladies are filled with energy and passion. Yes, it's true. And you too, dearest Paula. And congratulations from your colleague speakers. And hope to see you very soon again in some of our work around the world. Have a beautiful day, Claudia, and let us know how it goes. And we will be sharing with you later on, because
Sure,
we are
thank you
7
very much.
hours ahead of you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. And continuing with the amazing work of women for the world, not only for women, for the world, I want to share with you, introduce you our next speaker. Farah Shamas is originally, her family is originally Lebanese. So it's also dear to my heart. As you know, I'm from Lebanese background. My mom was Lebanese. Is the managing director of San Rafael Resort and Marina in Cyprus. She is the driving force behind the recent 10 million euro renovation and also the multi-million euro tower at San Rafael Resort and Marina. She created the first hotel vegan restaurant on the island, as well as leading the hotel into a more eco-friendly and sustainable business model. Recently, she has created a Facebook group, Cook Vegan, to share and inspire others into more plant-based and vegan meals. Farah is married and she's a mother of 3. And we all know how the tourism industry has been very affected by the situation of COVID. And have just admiration, and Farah inspired me so much of the way how she have managed that crisis, how she took care of her personnel, because I've been in other webinars that she's been in. But I wanted all of you to listen to her again, for those who have listened and for those who don't know Farah, to see how these women in her way of, in her sustainable way, took care of her business, and she's still going on and creating new business in this situation. Welcome, Farah, to our webinar and to our celebration of WEDO Cyprus.
Thank you so much, Viola. First of all, what a lovely introduction. I feel completely flattered, and I'm very, very honored that I was asked to be part of WED, Women Entrepreneurship Day. This is a fantastic initiative, and I'm humbled to be among these fantastic speakers from all over the world. So thank you so much for having me. I know I've only got 10 minutes, and for those of you who know me know that I can have no problem chatting away and telling you about my business and my life. So I'll try and keep this short. And
let me just, sorry to interrupt you. You have only 10 minutes now, but hopefully you're going to stay with us until the end when we have the panel. And please write your question to Farah, because it's possible that she has to leave earlier. And just write your question now so we can do her question after her talk, in case she couldn't stay at the end of the talk. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so yes, do. So if you have any questions, do type them below, and yeah, I will definitely answer them. It will be my pleasure. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of this with all of us wonderful ladies here. And Viola has asked me to talk about how I took on the challenge that 2020 brought about, how I've stayed positive, and how I have used my influence, let's say, and what I do to basically be more sustainable and creative. Creative being, yeah, a good word that she wanted me to focus on. So for those of you who don't know, Viola has done a very nice introduction. I'm the managing director of a 5-star resort here in Limassol, Cyprus. It's a large hotel, and it has 272 bedrooms and a marina. It's the first private marina on the island, and we're very proud of it, and it's an official port of entry. We've recently opened a luxury residence tower that we've been building and has been in conception for the last 3 years, and we've just finished that. And we had residents for sale, and now we have some for rent. So very, very busy on lots of different fronts. I'm also very importantly the mama of 3 lovely children, a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and soon to be 1-year-old. So my little one was born and then COVID hit, and I've been breastfeeding the whole year. So I've got a lot going on. And just to let you know, so obviously 2020 hit, who knew? We were on, especially in my field in tourism, we were on for a great year. We were really expecting a boom. The bookings were coming in. We were anticipating an absolutely packed out tourism season. And then this happened. And to be honest, when it first started hitting the news, I thought it was almost a joke. I thought this was an example of social media and media exaggerating things. I thought it would be a more similar to SARS and other illnesses that have hit the globe, but not in this way as a global pandemic that we've seen now. And okay, we suffered, and we've been suffering. We had to close the hotel. We had 1 restaurant open until recently, and we've also had to close that due to government measures that have come in and have been implemented in Limassol. So how have I coped, and how have we coped as a hotel and as a team? Because I prefer using this word of we. We are a community, and in any business, it is always a team effort. So there were lots of things, really. First of all, I made the most out of lockdown. When the first lockdown happened, I realized, after the first couple of weeks, there is no point projecting, there is no point worrying about what's going to happen, because really, if this year has taught us anything, is that we just don't know. So I focused on when things will be, not what if and when next week, or just when the lockdown finishes, I want to be ready. So we've done a lot in terms of capital expenditure. We've done a lot in terms of strategies and different ideas. I created a hashtag very early on called #TeamStRaphael, because we had all our staff, all our amazing team. We have over 250 employees who were at home. The government did a great effort in Cyprus, and they were all getting paid, but not as much as they were used to. Obviously, there's no tips. There's no the love for their work and everything else. They just felt so lost. So I did a TeamStRaphael where everybody had the chance to hashtag and put what they were doing in their day, whether they went for a walk, whether they were cuddling their dog, what they were cooking, different things like that, to try and keep that team spirit going. Obviously, we were planning not just this year for when we reopened, but also for 2021. So we've had lots of plans for that. We have a new Thai restaurant that was supposed to open this year that unfortunately I had to delay until next year. But I just look at things positively and say, well, that's just given us more time to go with that. We've done a lot on social media, a lot of website upgrades and various other things. We've had to be creative. So we've had to reassure clients, you can book with us, you can book your holiday. We'll give you something to look forward to. And should you not be permitted to travel, then by all means, we will move your holiday to another time. In some cases, we've refunded. So we've had to really adopt a lot of flexibility in our strategies. We've also had to be creative with our restaurants. Our restaurants have been open, they've been closed. They've had limitations on the time that they can open. We've had huge limitations on how many people we could take, the distances between tables. So this obviously has hit us. And at times we've been working at best at break even. But that break even is good. That's fine. That's giving a lot of people jobs. That's giving a lot of families support. That's giving us something to do. That's giving us something positive to look forward to get up to work. So we've been doing that. We've now been closed, and I'm hoping we'll be able to reopen in December. But should we not, in a week's time, we're going to, at least with the one of our 7 restaurants that is open, we're going to do takeaway and delivery. So again, this isn't easy, and it's not something that's particularly profitable, but it is something that at least gives us something to sink our teeth into and have something to do and be positive. We have had to be creative with our staff, moving positions around. To create new positions. For example, the hotel was closed, we needed security. We weren't going to hire people from outside unnecessarily when we have people who maybe they weren't doing security, but they were very good at what they do. They know the hotel inside out, they look the part, everything else, and then they could do that. So there's lots of different things that we could do there. Online sales. So we've started selling vouchers for holidays, for meals, for restaurants. life form yoga mats online and spa products and things like that. So and then we've tried as well in our social media to remind people, support local. We are a bigger business, so we're not you know, a small one-man show business to say support small businesses, but even the bigger businesses, you know, we're the bigger, the more you bleed. So the more people can support us, the more that helps us to support our own team and our own families that are part of our wider family. We've had to concentrate on local markets, so things like day passes, people coming to stay in the hotel. You know, our main markets, which are Britain and Russia, they've been out this year for the most of it, so we had to try and attract people from other towns. So completely try and relook at how we launched everything. Also, it's been a time for self-development. So we put a lot of people to do seminars online, so through webinars and other online courses, which has been a great chance for our team to continue learning and getting better. On a personal note, I did start Cook Vegan, which is it was a Facebook group to begin with, but I've launched also on YouTube now, and I've also got an Insta account that I'm just starting. So that's obviously, I'm vegan. I cook vegan for my family, and lots of people always ask me, so what does everyone eat? What do you eat? How do you get your all your vitamins and minerals? So I decided just to start this group and just share with some friends, you know, what I make every day. And I didn't expect it to skyrocket so much. I've got 5,000 members now, and even the YouTube is nearly 150, and I only launched that a few days ago. So that's been going well. So and that's really been quite nice, and given me also more of a purpose on days that I've been quiet. I need to be busy. So I've also encouraged everyone to do that, just find their purpose, do their things, and also to have routine. So just to go into lockdown or a period of self-isolation or isolating. I mean, my husband did catch COVID-19, unfortunately, and we were home for 2 weeks. But just to be creative, so you could be creative with your family. So or even if you're single, so to keep a routine, it's very, very important. So to get up, do some exercise every day, even if you're in a small flat. There's amazing online yoga classes. There's amazing anything you can get on YouTube. You can pay for some. You can do some one-on-one with people. So that's been really great. I mean, for me, in the last isolation period that we had, I was just walking around, you know, the garden at home, which isn't huge, and just going round and round. And actually, I did more steps than when I'm normally out and about. So it just goes to show, getting up in the morning, getting dressed, even when I was home in lockdown, always putting on some makeup, some nice clothes. And it really helped as well having my Facebook channel, because people did see me, I did feel some interaction. And that's really important, because although we've been through a very big period of self-isolation, of self-isolating, and everyone's been in lockdown, we've actually, it's physically that we've been separated from our loved ones. But there's never been an easier time to be socially interactive. So we've got, we've got FaceTime and Skypes and Zooms and everything else. So to move all your meetings to on Zoom, to keep a routine in any way you can, that's also really helped. I'm looking at the time, I've got to go now. So yeah, doing daily times, being there for friends, because the more you're there for your friends, and for example, I have a family, I was really busy, but I have lots of people I'm close to who are single, who are isolating alone. I did try as much as I could. I'm not perfect, but to call them, to check up on them, because the more you give, the more you receive, and the better you feel, and the more positive you feel about yourself and about things in general. And remembering to give to charities as and when, just log on. So many people did so many good things, and just give 10 euros here and there, 20 euros. It really goes a long way, and it makes you feel so much better. To read and watch things in the news. I actually stopped reading too much about coronavirus. Obviously, I had to keep up with things in my industry, but I tried not to just read it all day, because it's just so negative and it really gets you down, and you start feeling this panic. So to stay positive, to stay appreciating things. There was Halloween, for example. I got in touch with all our neighbors and said, right, I'm going to take the kids trick-or-treating. We're not coming close to your house. I've even got their own sweets with me. But so many of the neighbors actually dressed up, and they were so excited just to see someone from afar and wave and have their masks on and everything. And it was so nice. And I think there's so much to take from 2020 that is positive, and we've learned from this, and we can appreciate our neighbors so much more. We can appreciate our loved ones. So there is a lot to be grateful for. And so that's where I want to end this, really, just to have the gratitude. Don't focus on the negatives. Don't focus on the bad times. There have been very difficult times this year, but to keep on the positives, on all this love around, on self-development, and the time for self-reflection and improvement, family, everything else. and don't project. We don't know what will happen, so just stay positive, stay in the now, and over and up move.
And deep breath, all of us.
I had to get it all out. I have more to say, always more to say, but there you go.
She's such fantastic too. You know, you can see how multi-potentialite Farah is and how she manages her energy. So there is a couple of questions for you here, Farah. Let's see how we do them as quick as possible. And one from our dear Olga, who said, dearest Farah, always admire you speaking. A question is, how do you apply your boss power on many men working in your large companies? And how do you manage to achieve the best balance in your family being bossy? Question everyone wants to know the answer.
I love it. Wow, you know what? If my husband is watching, he might type in. He'll say that I am quite bossy at home as well. But I like to use the word determined. I'm a planner and I'm determined. So yeah. Okay, so how do I apply? How do I cope with working with so many men? My industry is very much a male-dominated industry, especially at the top level. So I'm proud to say that we have a lot of female employees, but at the top level, not so many. And that's purely because it's a 24/7 job. So a lot of women, it's understandable. They have their children and they just say, I'm out, I'll find something else. I think I don't really focus on the fact that I'm a woman, and I hope that other people don't. I do get some comments here and there, which I just have to ignore. And yeah, just rise above and I'm just who I am. And I try and use my femininity to my advantage. So I try and use the empathy that I have as a woman, not to say that men don't, but that understanding, that woman's instinct, that mother's instinct with people, both in a sales and marketing way, which is my background, but also with my employees. I am quite demanding and quite strict, but I think I've got the kinder side as well. So that's how I cope with that. And then bossy at home. Well, you know what? If I am, they'll cope and they'll grow up stronger for it. So it's all good.
Thank you so much. There is more question we will keep at the end or privately later for you. Thank you very much, Farah, for being with us today, and stay with us as much as you can. And it's such a joy to have you with us. And thank you all for your beautiful comment. So it's just wonderful to be between my friends and colleagues here. And this is I will introduce you a woman now that had a huge influence in my life. I met her in 2016, and in 2017, I was invited by a presentation from her into the English Parliament. So all the way since I know her, she's been surprising me with her kindness and with her teaching. And this is dearest Chelsea Baker. Chelsea is the founder of the National Mentoring Day, inaugurated in the House of Lords, UK Parliament, which is now a global success to make mentoring accessible to everyone of all ages, ethnicities, and background. She is a multi-awarded business mentor who has successfully mentored hundreds of businesses. She is the UK #1 teaching expert and a passionate humanitarian, awarded by the British Banker Association for Excellence in Women's and Enterprise Mentoring at BAFTA years in a row, Influential Woman of the Year, and for her outstanding contribution to society. And I'm one of her first was client and now colleague, and I'm one of a huge fan. And we just celebrated the National Mentoring Day on the 27th of October, and I was quite actively with Chelsea celebrating these days because we had a dream that no one should be left behind again. Everybody should have a mentor. Welcome, Chelsea.
Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction, Viola. It's wonderful to be here today to talk about female entrepreneurship. My goodness, I have so much to share on this subject. It's going to be difficult to choose what to talk about for 10 minutes. But I guess with my background in helping women entrepreneurs to create and to launch wonderful, successful businesses, that's where my passion is. It's been absolutely brilliant. And of course, before lockdown, I would fly and I'd speak all over the world on so many subjects, from leadership, entrepreneurship, pitching for investment, teaching people about having confidence in their voice and finding their purpose and their passion. And of course, my favorite subject, I would speak about mentoring. So, you know, one of the things here is that it's just so important. I have so much I could share with you today, but I want to really focus on a few things, which is firstly, you know, what qualifies me to be an entrepreneur, and what skills did it take for me to, you know, to actually get and achieve all this great success that's happened that Viola kindly, you know, described in my background. So for me, the success was brought about from 3 words: passion, purpose, and belief. And obviously, I'm going to quickly cover those in 10 minutes if I can. So for me, being a female entrepreneur, again, some of the other speakers have touched on that word female. Of course, we need to bring that about today to celebrate this wonderful Female Entrepreneurship Day. But it doesn't matter what gender you are, you can start a business. There's opportunities all around you. And if you have this purpose, if you have this passion, and if you have this belief, you can achieve anything. So as I said, I have started multiple businesses. And the key thing here, I'd love you to take note of, is without any funding, without any resources, and often without any contacts in that certain or relevant sector that I was actually starting the business. So that's a key thing here, that, you know, you can just think, right, what problems are there in the world, and, you know, start making the plans to try and be a solution to that problem. If you're on the right track and your idea is good, the right people are going to come onto your path regardless, if the idea has merit and has weight and has your passion and belief behind it. So a little few things that I've started. I launched my own television channel on Sky with just the belief and an idea that I could do something. I floated a company on the stock market. As Viola said, I've mentored hundreds of businesses and individuals. I've worked with government mentoring programs. I launched my own media company, which was a broadcasting your business, which was showing entrepreneurs how to use the pitching skills to pitch to investors, pitch to the media, pitch to suppliers, pitch to their clients, and to use publicity and PR and public speaking to broadcast and publish their business. Again, this is just constantly reinventing myself and seeing opportunities that are around. And we'll talk about that in the, you know, later on in my quick 10 minutes talk, that people are saying to me, but where's the opportunity? Trust me, they are all around you. So we talked briefly about National Mentoring Day. Again, this was just an idea because I was mentoring for a government project. I was mentoring hundreds of kids, 16 to 25-year-olds, and they all needed a mentor. And suddenly I became a very popular mentor with a background in media, marketing, sales, and PR. And I was suddenly mentoring at all hours of the evening and at weekends. And I thought, we need more mentors here to keep up with the demand that, you know, society needs. And that's where I came up with the idea. So it was with a problem. I also never had a mentor myself in the early days and very much struggled. So that's where my passion for mentoring came. I saw the power. I saw the fact that it could change people's lives. And that's where I decided to launch a national day to recognise the invaluable contribution that mentoring makes to business, to education, to society, to communities, and to really support mentoring in all forms and shine a light on these amazing mentoring initiatives actually making a difference, and all the mentors that are doing great work out there. So that's where the idea was born. And of course, then I came up with this global mission that we want to make mentoring accessible to everyone of all ages, backgrounds, and ethnicities, and really educate people on the awareness of what mentoring is, what skills you need to be a mentor. We had a hugely successful National Mentoring Day this year with hundreds of thousands of people all over the world joining in. We had huge partnerships, and Google offered 10,000 hours of mentoring to support UK businesses and charities. We had so many initiatives, worthy, beautiful initiatives, all launching on the 27th of October to help disadvantaged youth, disengaged youth, people with physical and mental health disabilities, elderly, you name it. There's mentoring for everybody. And that's our vision. Why shouldn't everyone have access to a mentor? It changes lives. I've seen the difference it makes. And, you know, our whole campaign, you know, start now for next year, is that one word, 1 hour, one person, that's all it takes to make a difference and change somebody's life. And, you know, that's where my purpose was born from. Just a simple idea of mentoring one person and seeing the difference that it made. That was born for the idea to launch National Mentoring Day. So, you know, you've heard just a few things that I've done there. I went on to launch the National Mentoring Awards to then recognise all the amazing mentors and honour those mentors, you know, who are really making a difference. So, you know, I don't know who's listening to this wonderful broadcast at the moment. You could be CEOs, you know, you might be from a variety of different backgrounds, and it doesn't matter. You know, the purpose of what I'm going to say today is relevant in everyone's life, and especially to those people who maybe have been in a job for so many years, 20 years or so. Don't forget, you can reinvent yourself. I've worked with hundreds of women, and they come to me and they say, oh, Chelsea, this is not what I was born to do. This is not my purpose and my passion. I'm stuck in my job. And that's where we can help people reinvent themselves so that they're doing something that they love, something that helps make a difference. So to be an entrepreneur, you just need to have belief in an idea and know that you can make a difference and know that you can actually go through with it. When, as I was saying, I used to fly all over the world before lockdown, and there's a beautiful project that I'm involved with called GLAM, Girls Leadership Academy Meetup in Silicon Valley. And I fly over there to be the pitch coach and to mentor all the young girls on pitching their business ideas and having confidence in their own voice. Trust me, the initiative, when I see the difference that I made to those young girls at that early age, one little girl came up to me once and said, I don't like my voice because a boy told me it was bad and I sounded like a boy. And I took her aside and I mentored her in her voice, and to see the confidence of these kids just with this pitching program is just so beautiful. So again, the key points here are to be an entrepreneur. You just need to have belief, you need to have purpose, you need to have passion in something. Find your passion. And a lot of people say to me, oh, we don't have your passion, Chelsea. You know, those of you who know me know how many hours a day I work. And that's because I'm passionate about all the subjects that I teach. If you're sitting there and you're watching and you're not passionate about anything, then you need to learn to find passion again in your life, in the smallest of things. We hear, you know, meditation and mindfulness, like looking at the trees, looking at the flowers. It's finding passion in the simplest and smallest of things that can regain your passion. Look at what I've achieved with National Mentoring Day. It's now a global success, worldwide, huge endorsements from high-profile people. Do you think that would have been possible without passion? Absolutely not. It was the sole passion of this individual, aka me, ringing up people on the telephone. Like I said, when I started, I had no contacts in the mentoring industry whatsoever. Zero. I started by ringing hundreds of companies and saying, hi, did you know that there's a national day to recognize mentors and celebrate mentoring initiatives that are making a difference like yours? And that's where it started. Fast forward a year later, we were in the House of Lords with Lord Young, and the initiative is now a global success. But again, it was the passion of that one individual that was able to take it to be a global success. And then we talk about the purpose. the purpose that lies behind it is not always a global success. We've had millions of pounds worth of press coverage. That means nothing to me. The purpose that drives me every day to, the National Mentoring Day that we've just had was so successful. What drives me to work all these long hours and to keep doing what I'm doing is the veterans that are getting the mentoring support, is the disadvantaged youth that are getting the mentoring support, is the disengaged youth, is the families, is the vulnerable women who've been suffering with abuse and domestic abuse survivors. It is the homeless people that are getting the mentoring, the over 60s, the business entrepreneurs, the struggling startup that are getting the mentoring. This is what drives me. So there has to be a purpose behind your vision. And I started talking about Silicon Valley because there was a beautiful initiative there where some young girls, they decided to pick up one plastic golf ball from a top luxury golf course in San Francisco and to collect one golf ball a day. And then to stop, obviously, it was right next to the ocean, and the plastic was killing all the fish, and it was just an absolute disaster in terms of plastic zone. I think it was called plastic pickup. But if you think, oh, these plans are too big and I don't have anything to give, I couldn't possibly, these plans are far too grand for me, I couldn't do that. Yes, you can, because you just start with one golf ball a day. What don't you like in the world? Be the change. Do something about it. Don't be a voyeur. Don't just watch people do things. Actually make a difference. You will feel empowered and the universe will reward you. So, the universe rewards those who give. That's all I can say. Don't be blinkered or focused or limited on, I'm a mother, I'm a chef, I'm a wife, I'm in this job, I can't do it. You can all do it. I am proof of the pudding. I've constantly reinvented myself throughout my career. And don't limit to yourself to the category that you currently have. This is your chance to challenge yourself, to find yourself, to re-find yourself, to find your purpose. Again, people say to me, oh, with the pandemic, what opportunities are around for me? There's nothing. Yeah, think like that and be negative like that, and there's nothing around for you. It's opening your heart to see what's around. There is beautiful opportunities to help people, beautiful opportunities to make money all around the world. But if you're focused on the negativity, if you're focused on the bad vibrations and the bad frequencies, you're not going to pick up on these opportunities. I'm having an opportunity every week given to me. I cannot cope with the opportunities. It's because I started to do something good for the world. More and more opportunities came to me, the more good I did in the world. That may sound a bit, cliche, but trust me. So I think I've probably ended my time, but anything is possible. Liberate yourself in the belief that there's more to you. There's more to you than where you currently are. And that's it from me. Have purpose, have passion and belief, and get involved in National Mentoring Day and join us, #National Mentoring Day. Thank you. That was the fastest speech I've ever had to do in 10 minutes.
Thank you. Well, as usual, you're great and you managed to pass your message in a beautiful way. And there is some question for you that we will keep to the end, when we will have our panel and all of you speakers that can stay until the end answer those questions. Chelsea, is an honor, as usual, to be with you, to be with your energy, your passion, and your clarity about what is important now and how to be present. Thank you. Thank you. So let's continue with the presentation. And here we go with another dear friend and colleague, Fee Yates, previously Bendal, internationally award-winning female entrepreneur. Fee was named as the CEO's secret weapon by CEO magazine. Fee is an expert and pioneer in behavioral data science and digital strategy, and with over 27 years of experience in the digital and tech sector. She is the founder of a collection of female networks, purpose-driven, with a technology platform growing a global movement of women for social good, with a strong focus on female entrepreneurs and motherhood. Of course, this is an extract of a very long bio of our dear Fee. And I remember when I met her first time online, and I hear her talking among many other women, and I can still remember the impact that she has on me. Her kindness, at the same time, her structural knowledge about technology and about data. So here I want us all to welcome dearest Fee Yates. Welcome.
Thank you, Viola. I have so much respect for you and for what you do and for the women that you bring together. And I actually met Wendy in New York about Women's Entrepreneur Day. So for me, this is very special to be with you and to join you on Women's Entrepreneur Day. And also, wow, you know, the ladies who have gone before me, I'm sure I'm not going to be as good as you guys. You're absolutely fantastic and inspirational. So thank you very much indeed. So moving on, today I've got a special t-shirt on saying be yourself. I think that's really, really important when it comes to entrepreneurship. And one of the things I've learned is the amazing women who are female entrepreneurs, a lot of them happen to be mothers. And the largest growth of female entrepreneurs is actually mothers because of childcare, because of childcare costs, because of just the aspects of going back to work and not believing in workplace reform. We're seeing this whole rollout of mothers across the world who are contributing to their families by being self-creators and by actually inventing products, doing all sorts of things. And it's quite astounding. And I have found it amazing to be part of that community of those women who are juggling a family, but also building businesses and indeed empires. These aren't little cottage industries or that kind of thing. So for me, the entrepreneurship and the mumpreneurship, if you like, is really, really important. And I was fortunate enough when I was living in Australia to get mumpreneurship onto the agenda. So many of the entrepreneur programs do not cater for mothers. In Australia at the time, they were offering something called a springback opportunity to go and live in Silicon Valley for 3 months. But of course, they were confused why so few women were applying for that. But those women weren't going to leave their children for 3 months and relocate to Silicon Valley. So we were able to make some significant changes there on what the offer was for women, and especially for mums who are building their own businesses. So that to me was incredibly inspiring, and I think incredibly important. When I started to reach out and pull women together, they were from all different networks. So it's sort of a collection of a network of networks, if you like. But I was very keen that we all shared the same ethics and the same behavior types, because I think otherwise women can be as lovely to each other as they can be cruel to each other. So for me, sharing a sense of ethics is incredibly important. And I started to pull these networks together actually to build a big voting bloc in Australia originally, to shake the government up. So I was able to, with the voice of other women, get some really great programs up in Australia. And indeed, we took that up to the G20 in Turkey. And then the Canadian government, they were very good to me. They kind of almost adopted me. And we did some really good work around female entrepreneurship for the G7 with Prime Minister Trudeau. So, but it was staggering to see these politicians did not understand the link between motherhood and entrepreneurship and what is actually going on in the global economy. So I then expanded that network out across Canada, the USA, and into Europe. The network's been very, very good to me. I'm extremely blessed to have so many women who have supported me. And I feel it's really important when Viola talks about kindness, that transparency and creating an economy for women is a passion of mine, that every opportunity you share it with other women, you get a band of women together who are like-minded and great things can happen. And I'm doing some of that work with Viola, with Olga at Creative Women, with Amina, with many women who are on this, listening to this webinar today, and creating that economy of women with transparency, kindness and good, I think is what's going to bring us out of the COVID-19 crisis. I strongly believe that it will be mothers pulling their families through, supporting their children through this, and they will restate and rebalance the global economy. And indeed, I do hope also the emotional economy that goes with that, that we can drive profit with purpose in a meaningful way, as opposed to the firing up, working all hours, dressing up, trying to be alpha males, trying to compete in this world. I feel that this army of mumpreneurs will be driving the economy forward, working together and really building out what I think will be a new economy, which, we are fortunate to see. So it's a dichotomy. There's a lot of things that have challenged me during the pandemic, and we're back in lockdown here in London. And so I am in my lockdown clothes, but I've got be yourself because that's important to us ladies today. But it's challenged me enormously. And I've got friends who aren't necessarily concerned about their financial situation, but it's challenged them in their mental health. And so that's a real downside of it. But the upside is the opportunity that it affords all of us to come out of this and to work together in a very different way. And from that point of view, I think female entrepreneurship is going to lead the way. Like I said, before the pandemic, the growth of women taking on their own businesses, mothers taking on their own businesses was staggering. What I've also done to my life and work is that people think majorities control consensus, and they actually don't. I did a lot of work during the 90s with some professors from the economic psychology department of Oxford University. And when I say that, please don't think I'm academic. I've got no academic credentials at all. I've just got a brain, a passion and a soul. I think to what Chelsea was saying, I'm purposely driven, but I got involved with them out of absolute interest of what digitization was doing versus how it was going to impact behaviours. And a gentleman called Dr. Guy Fielding analysed numerous behaviour personality types to work out that actually only 6% of people in the world, and they're born with it, have the power to truly influence or to change the world. And so someone like Greta Thunberg would be a 6% personality type. They believe in the road less travelled. They believe in sort of more heavy information. For them, the internet just jettisons the mundane. They believe passionately in the story. And it's those 6% that will change majority consensus. We saw it with the Obama campaign, actually, where he just took a small percentage of voters who were passionate advocates who met a certain personality type who could change the vote in America. So there's a lot of research around it. And I think as women, if we can deploy our 6%ers, then we can build a huge recommendation economy and a huge economy between all of us to actually change the world and change the outcome, and also help guide our children, because they're the ones that are going to be paying for this pandemic and whatever it might become. They will be paying for it for many years to come. And I think as mothers and as entrepreneurs, we need to help guide them through that, and let them look at different opportunities, which indeed might not be the corporate world. I've been very involved with Richard Branson's 100% Human charity through Virgin Unite. And before the pandemic, we were meeting, and of course there's lots of conversations about climate change. Of course, I was one at the back going, do you really think a mother's interested when she's doing her shopping and not buying plastics when she's got 2 screaming kids? And they kind of agreed with me that the conversation needs to level down a bit. We need to speak to everybody as a whole. And if we can actually deploy our recommendation as women, as a group, we're a very powerful voice. In fact, we're 52% of the world's population. So one would hope we could have an impact. And that's what female entrepreneurship for me is all about, is pulling together as a group of women. And it's not about being anti-male. I love men. I love the door being opened for me. I love being a woman and being cared and nurtured for. But if we can lead that, we can also lead the men in the world to be more collaborative. And I think I've certainly seen it with my male business friends, that they've dropped down a notch. They're far more approachable, far more collaborative than they've ever been. And again, I think that's a real positive to come out of the pandemic. So I think if we can look at personality types who can help lead us and bring us out of this pandemic and help influence the majority to change attitudes to our economy going forward, we will see that the femme economy, the female economy, will definitely impact everything going forward. We are the stick and glue. We are the grit, the salt of the earth, as they say in the north of England, that actually drives so much through in our economy. And I think that as nurturers, as women, as entrepreneurs, as self-starters and creators, we have a huge opportunity with the pandemic to do something very, very different. And I would love anybody who is listening or in this group to put forward those kind of solutions. And as we've seen with the women who have spoken before me, we also have influence at government. And I would certainly love to see how we could put our voice forward as almost a new civil service, if you like, to advise our own governments around the world of how we feel that we should drive the economy going forward. So I'd be really interested to see ideas around that, or women who would support that. And maybe out of Women's Entrepreneur Day, we can take our own group of WEDs here, if you like, and actually take an outcome from speaking today, of joining together today, and look at solutions to drive this new economy forward. And I'm sure, and I know, because I can spot the personality types, that the ladies on this panel definitely have the power to do that. And the ladies that are listening, I know many of them have the power to do that. And I think it's time that we became ourselves, be ourselves, be true to ourselves, not step back, but step forward and shine in the spotlight. And that was the message I really wanted to share with you today, and to see what collaboration we can pull together to work together. And I know many of us here on this webinar probably are mothers as well. It is the law of averages. There's, like I say, there's more female entrepreneurs that are mothers than anyone else in the world. The most, believe it or not, are in Uganda. They've got the largest number of mompreneurs in the world per capita head. So it's not just for the Western world. We're seeing significant developments in the Middle East. I've been working with a lot of women in the Middle East, and oh my Lord, the inspiration and the passion they have, and they're certainly changing their world and the perception of them to Middle Eastern men as well. So it's quite incredible what we can achieve as a group of people. So I want to end it there. I want to thank all of you, and especially Viola. Viola, I know you spent a lot of time putting this together. It's not easy. We're a group of international women. We all have our nuances, our pressures and our stresses. But I hope on today I can share that message of let's come together and create a new femme economy that can take the global economy forward.
Indeed. This is what we've been talking so much together about. What does it mean, a caring economy? And what does it mean, a caring alliances? And somebody like you and me, that we work in different network with transparency and integrity, and how is it that we can work in different network and at the same time attending our businesses, and at the same time being able to consult other businesses and other network. Thank you so much for opening a space to be with us today. I know how busy you are, and do not worry if you could not stay at the end. I think it's just you cover so many things, and tell us about your work, how you've been doing, and what's your vision, what's your next step. And I know some of them because we are doing it together. So it's not limited to Europe. There is a lot of work to do in Middle East, and also you have your associate in US, and how much work we are doing all around the world. So thank you, Fee, for being with us.
Thank you, Paula.
And we will have many more to share together.
I'm happy to share anything that if there's interest to anybody in the group, they can just email me. Obviously, you've got my details, Viola, but also I just want to say I would love to stay, but my daughter, being a mother, has just been sent home from boarding school because she's got a stomach bug. So I apologise that I've got to rush off, because I would really, really love to stay. And thank you so much, Viola. Thank you.
Thank you. I know. Please be safe, both of you, and let us know how she is. And we will be again together very soon. Thank you, Fee. Yes. Well, let's take a deep breath, all of us. then I have to introduce, I just want to check with Paolo if we're okay with the time, and I'm ready to introduce my dearest sister, younger sister, Pauline Long. And I want to know if we are okay. The sounds, everything is okay? Yes, okay. So my dearest younger sister, Dr. Pauline Long, is a multi-awarded entrepreneur, philanthropist, transformational leader, peace activist, and TV presenter producer, who has been listed on Black Women in Europe Power list and has been honored with over 280 international awards. She is the owner and founder of Europe's biggest award ceremony for Black and ethnic personality in show business, BEFTA, global brand. And also she's the founder and presenter and the mother of the WOW, W-A-W, Women Appreciating Women. And for the last 2 years or 3 years, I co-present the event of Women Appreciating Women with my dearest sister, Pauline. The list of Pauline foundation in the world is big. So let's hear her and let's see what is it, where did she get that passion and that energy to do everything that she does. Also mother of 2. Yes. Pauline?
Hi, how you doing?
Very good, sister. Very good here with you. I'm so pleased.
Wow, it's an absolute honor actually to join everyone in this incredible forum. What can I say? The women that have spoken before me, well done to you guys. Amazing, incredible, very inspiring. That's what we want to hear in 2020, especially this year that things haven't been quite easy for everybody, really, for anyone across the globe. Thank you very much. Now, when I talk about entrepreneurship, I cannot leave 2 things: that leadership and philanthropy. So I actually call myself a philanthropic entrepreneur, simply because I come from a background where I saw mother and father become these 3 things. They became leaders, they became entrepreneurs, they became philanthropists. And so growing up in Kenya, I knew these 3 aspects always came together. My mother was a tailor from when she was a teenager. They call them fashion designers now, but she was a tailor from a very young age. Today, she is 74 and still a tailor, still a fashion designer. She still, goes out there to fetch. But the most incredible thing is she brought so many people along with her. So I learned that, becoming an entrepreneur means you have to bring people with you. It means that you have to leave the ladder for other people to climb up. It means that you also have to be at the forefront and be the leader. Nobody's going to pick you up from the queue and say, come forward, you are going to be the leader. You need to step forward and be the leader. Now, I came to the UK in my teens, going into my 20s. And I thought, with my entrepreneurial spirit, I would straight away become an entrepreneur. But it was a different ballgame. You come to a foreign country as an African at the time, being an African, you were looked at somebody from a very poor background, even though I can tell you for sure and honestly, I didn't know what they were talking about. I came from a background where I saw mom and dad work and we were all provided for, all 11 of us. I have 10 other siblings. So with that, my entrepreneurial spirit died when I came to the UK, because I thought, this is a country that, as an African, because of what they've seen on television, because of the publicity that Africa got, Africa was tagged as a very poor continent. and Africa was always referred to as a country, and all Africans were always tagged as one as opposed to an individual. So, falling into that trap where you accept the label that that has been stuck on you, was an incredible difficult thing to accept. But I did accept it only for about 2 years. And, within those 2 years, I was working as a chambermaid, in a hotel. I was leading wild hotels, actually, from one hotel to the next. But I found my way up, and I became, by the time I left the hotel industry, I was a guest relations manager in leading hotels, around Knightsbridge and, Chelsea and all the high profile places. But, I was positioning myself to get back to being an entrepreneur because as a female, this is all I knew. I knew that my mother was the entrepreneur in the house. My grandmother was the entrepreneur in the house. So I had to carry on the mantle as an entrepreneur. And so when I quit working in the hotel industry and became a full-time mother, I was strategizing and also taking time to enjoy, my life as a mother, and at the time being a mother was quite challenging because then other people saw you as just a mother, you're not doing anything with your life and you're just being a full-time mom. But I thought, that's not it. That's not it. I have got an entrepreneur's cap and I will put it on. So I then established the Mr. and Miss East Africa UK, where I was working with young East African from 13 East African countries, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, Somalia, Ethiopia, all these young people. I brought them together. Every year we did the beauty pageants, but at the same time, for me, the key thing was to mentor them, to prepare them for entrepreneurship, because I believed that it was an entrepreneur's world. But at the same time, we were working with charities across East Africa to feed children that live on the streets because, as I said, I believe that entrepreneurship goes alongside philanthropy and leadership. So, in fact, in one time in Uganda, we fed over 1,400 street children, which was very amazing, very satisfying for us to do. We did the same in Tanzania, fewer numbers, and Kenya as well. And so while doing the beauty pageant, it was amazing to get these young people that I worked with to become entrepreneurs, but also become philanthropists. And at a young age, some of them, women as well, they came from families that some of them did not come from well-off families, but they realized that it was an entrepreneur's world. They realized that it was not the time to constantly reflect about their background, but to move forward and also position themselves in the global village as it was an entrepreneur's world. So with the beauty pageant, I met several Africans in the UK that had so much skill, from the entertainment industry, from the film industry, from the fashion industry, from the arts industry. But at the time, I'm talking 2007, 2008, at the time, there wasn't any award ceremony that was celebrating all this amazing talent. And they were not being brought forward. So I thought, the people that I worked with at the pageant, the presenters, the choreographers, the fashion designers, the writers, the comedians, all these people, I thought, how do I say thank you to these people, for coming forward to support the beauty pageant that I started to encourage young Africans and also, to become entrepreneurs and also to give back. And so then that was the back of BEFTA Awards, which today we are on our 12th award ceremony, still the biggest award ceremony for Black and ethnic personalities in entertainment, film, fashion, TV, and arts. And with that, again, we brought people from different backgrounds, from the African, Caribbean, Asian backgrounds, to collaborate and work together in an entrepreneur's world. And this was so satisfying. This was so amazing. And then I thought, I need to branch out. I saw my mother branching out as an entrepreneur. And I thought, I like to speak about entrepreneurship. I like to speak about philanthropy and to actually do. But also leadership is one thing that I was concerned about. And in terms of leadership, I wanted to be a leader in voicing, being a voice for the vulnerable, being a voice for people going through domestic violence, being a voice for people in from different disadvantaged backgrounds, being a voice for orphans. So hence I started the Pauline Long Show on Sky Channel 182. And to date, I have interviewed over 5,000 guests. I have promoted several charities, promoted several businesses, promoted several personalities and individuals that needed to be seen and heard, and several good causes. But it didn't stop there. I thought it's an entrepreneur's world. You have to carry on. So while I was doing all the events I was doing, I thought, London is a very expensive city. Paying for venues is very expensive. So how do I maneuver? How do I go about this? And I thought, maybe acquire property and turn it into an event venue. And at the time, it was almost impossible. All the properties, this was dating back 11 years ago, were being turned into either housing developments or other businesses. So I came across a derelict property, which then I thought, I would turn this into an event venue, but it didn't happen because the property wasn't in an ideal location. So then I switched on my entrepreneur's brain and I said, I'm going to walk away from this property, but with something, with an idea that I didn't know, an idea that was just born, an idea that I said, you know what, I'm going into the unknown, but when I come out of the unknown, I will come out with knowledge. So then that is when I decided to establish a film studio, probably the first independently owned film studio by a woman and also a Black woman. So that's the Eastern Studios. 11 years on, I'm on to my third film studio. And so I'm sharing this just to tell women out there that there is space for us as entrepreneurs. There is incredible ways of being innovative, of being creative. It will need you to become dynamic. It will need you to take leaps. It will need you to take those jumps, those uncomfortable jumps. It will need you to take those risks. It will need you to sit in uncomfortable round tables, whether they're round tables or square tables. It will take you a lot of courage sometimes to accept that you might not be needed on a table. There might not be a chair for you, but you have to grab the chair, bring your own chair and sit on that table because it is, believe it or not, an entrepreneur's world. It is a philanthropist's world. It is a leadership world. And we are together. We are all the three. We can be all the three. We can be entrepreneurs, we can be philanthropists, we can be leaders in any sector that we choose to be in. Now, today I am proud to say that I started the Women Appreciating Women, which this year would be the fourth year that we did it. We're lucky that we did the event in March in London. It's probably the only big international women's event that took place in London just before the lockdown. So we're proud to say, and Viola was there, thank you so much as my co-host. We're proud to say that we actually hosted the event this year, bringing together women from over 70 countries, women that share incredible ethos when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to philanthropy. So I am so proud of you, Viola, as well, for being part of this. But I'm also incredibly proud of what I've created in terms of the Pauline Long Entrepreneurship Foundation, where we concentrate on education, because we believe that especially no young girl should be left behind. So the foundation is currently paying school fees for over 150 orphans, mostly girls, in 4 countries. We are also concentrating on distributing sanitary pads to these young girls, because you find that when they're menstruating, when they're going through their monthly periods, then they skip school. They don't go to school because they can't go to school if they haven't got pads. They can't go to school when they're bleeding. So we try to avoid that by distributing sanitary pads. So again, I started a program called For Me, For Her, and I invite women from all over the world. So For Me, For Her is when you go to buy sanitary pad for you, consider buying one for a girl who cannot afford, so that we keep the girls in education. And also with the foundation, why it's called Pauline Long Entrepreneurship Foundation, again, is concentrating on encouraging women on entrepreneurship. So at the moment, we are in 4 countries, encouraging women to use their entrepreneurship skills in agriculture, in fashion, in education, to create, where we provide them with loans, we provide them with the tools to just go out there and be innovative. We don't want to just give them fish for one day, but we want to give them tools to fish so that they can feed their families. As we know that the global economy is really mostly driven by women. We have to encourage women to continue striving, to go at the forefront, be leaders in every sector, whether it's in education, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in fashion, technology, any sector, absolutely any sector. Take on the leadership, be at the forefront of the queue, because yes, you can. And this is an entrepreneurship world, and you as a woman, you already have your space there as an entrepreneur. Thank you.
Well, as you can see, we can be listening to Pauline and her achievement and her activities for hours and hours. And I'm just so delighted to be part of those plans and part of this work. And yes, indeed, on the 8th of March, we celebrated the International Women's Day in WOW. It was like we doubt so much about doing it or not. And then we said, let's do it. And we did. And it was my last live event. I'm very grateful to have hosted together so many women that did make the effort, like there is Amina, who come from Bahrain, and some people came from Cyprus and from Greece, and Vivian came from Greece, and from we had some guests from US, I think. So it was so nice. We have Ragne from Mexico, so it was so nice to really hug you. And nowadays I'm working dearly like with Ragne because of that. Every year when I'm in WOW, we meet so many amazing women from around the world, and later we become associate and we start helping each other and supporting each other in different initiatives. So Pauline, there is I stay short of word to thank you for all what you do for women, for minority, for diversity, for all ethnic groups, and for all your love for humanity. And thank you so much for being with us today here. And we will be back to you with some questions that there are for you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, dear sister. And the power of network. So I have met some of my gift of this time of COVID. I have many, a big list, but one of them, her name is Laura Jodorou Koch. And when I was working with Laura in different initiative, and one of them, she's the one who started teaching me and telling me about the caring economy, and together we're doing the caring alliances. She told me, you need to meet Nicole. You would love Nicole. Nicole is doing great things that you will see how much you would like each other. So we didn't lose time, and then we connected with each other with Nicole, and again, with her busy agenda and being very involved in so many things, she opened the time to be with us today. Nicole Roulette is multicultural and multilingual. She worked in international finance at what is now JP Morgan and Merrill Lynch, as well as geopolitical think tank such as David Rockefeller's Council of the Americas. Her life took an unexpected turn upon marrying, who is her husband today, Xavier, and joined him on a big adventure to restore a historical vineyard magnificently wild and its abandoned medieval priories, a hidden gem in the heart of a UNESCO biosphere. Chêne Bleu, and hospitality venue La Verrière. Thank you so much, Nicole, for being with us today and tell us about all these adventures that you went through and some other thing that you have for us as a surprise today.
Well, Viola, that's such an incredibly kind and generous introduction, and flattered to be in such amazing company with women who have been accomplishing things for surely longer than I have. And I'm still getting used to the fact that this is not officially a startup. The winery was completely abandoned, a medieval vineyard, medieval priory, which we fixed up. And it feels like a startup even 10 years into it, even though we're now in 23 countries, and we're very fortunate to have the approval of critics around the world and have come into the top 1% of wines everywhere. And this is very, very exciting. And yet I think I'm the most unlikely candidate to be featured in this, because as a child, I was pathologically shy. I had very accomplished, outspoken parents, and I was very happy to cling to their pant legs and always speak when spoken to, and not at all the profile of this confident, budding entrepreneur like many of the people you heard from earlier. And yet, I think I'm probably in a good position to encourage some of you who might not identify with some of those profiles we heard of, because I think there's an opportunity to take that plunge and to make a difference, even if you don't think that you are earmarked for that style of leadership. I think some of us who are not the confident bossy boots types feel that we are now in a very good position in history. For example, some of the paradigms of leadership that are emerging are allowing those of us who don't see ourselves as, very confrontational or kill or be killed, zero-sum game styles that you see portrayed in some of the leaders on the world stage today, to maybe fly under the radar and find ways to exert soft power and influence without having to raise our voices or put our hands on our hips or beat our chests. And that's a part of what I want to talk about. I put together some tips that I found useful on my journey to hopefully leave with you today. And I do want to say you do not have to have that idea, that intelligence, that product, that service that is so perfect by every standpoint that are going to know that it's going to be a success, and that you feel that you don't have to have these superhuman abilities to have the strength to succeed. Even though I will not lie to you, those first years are incredibly difficult, time-consuming, and painful, especially for people who need a lot of validation to believe in themselves and into what they're doing. So I'm going to recommend here using some techniques from Aikido and sort of harnessing some of that terror, some of that stage fright that you have. I know I was very comfortable in the world of international finance think tanks. I was successful. I was in my comfort zone, and stepping out was so hard with many dreams and fears that came to the fore. For that, I would recommend you harness that, you channel that, you funnel it into the drive that's going to get you through those initial years and stages of any kind of entrepreneurial adventure. In my case, it was making these haute couture wines in the middle of nowhere. We're literally in the heart of a little UNESCO biosphere reserve, very far away from everyone. Nobody wants to hear about a new wine, let alone something from an unknown area, and a new foreign woman, and not a famous track record, and an environment that is not prone for innovation. It's a very conservative, culturally and stylistically environment. And I would say that some of you are looking to do innovation in that. And I recommend looking for opportunities for innovation in conservative areas, because most people think about tech and some of these fast moving areas, but actually many fields are rife for some disruption and rethink. So that was very exciting for me. I think you use your strengths. For in my case, I said I was very shy. This means you tend to be quiet, which means you tend to listen, which means you can hear things about people's needs that are your clients, your staff, and maybe develop a style of leadership based on those strengths instead of just trying to bend other people to your will. So I learned a lot from my incredible mentor, a woman by the name of Zelma Long. She's very famous in the wine world and extremely accomplished, but also known for her humility and also her commitment to lifelong learning. And I think those two things go very much hand in hand. And her nickname was Ms. Oblivious. She never acknowledged sexism or even gender. She just focused all her energy on being the best that she could be in her field. And other people, if they had a problem with that were their problems, not hers. And she really taught me a lot about that, which was counterintuitive for someone who likes to please and likes the opinion of others. But it was very helpful. If you're worried about money, I would say you can really compensate for money with vision. Now, vision attracts money, of course, but make that vision really personal. Don't look to things that others have done to inspire you for your vision, because you can really pave a new way. And in our case, it was about pioneering new forms of sustainable luxury in viticulture, in hospitality, back when these things were not hashtags as they are today, sustainability, biodiversity. And it was very hard to come into the world saying, wait a minute, let's redefine what a fine wine is. Is it just because it's been around for 300 years, or is it also because it's working in full respect of nature, of the land, and your health, and also, of course, meeting the benchmarks of the best made fine wines? So that changing the definition on things and bending the world without actually forcing it, I think is something that has been very important for us. So I guess everybody is a naysayer in the first 10 years. And everyone always tells you, make your own board of directors. But in our case, I think I'd recommend making specifically on your board people who will believe in you no matter what in those early years when everybody tells you that what you're doing isn't going to work and finds lots of faults with what you're undertaking. And it is enjoyable on some level to prove them wrong, but more importantly, it's lovely to see them coming around with their own accord. And that is often a tipping point that is something that you should really just mark down when certain people who were fiercely contrarian to your idea then come on board. I recommend a book that has helped me a lot, which clarified my ideas. Is about brilliant basics versus compelling differences. It's called The Pirate Inside by Martin Williams. And by making sure you do the certain things to a very classic standard and put all your innovation in the parts where innovation is really useful, you will save a lot of time and money if you don't muddle those two concepts. And to quote Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. Of course, most Americans know that expression. It's not going to be linear, especially for women. Our careers are very different in their shape than men. And there's a fantastic book called The 4 Phases of Women's Careers by Aviva Wittenberg Cox about gender bilingualism and how understanding some of the arc of women's careers can be very useful for you. I'm happy to share that name with you later. So when you're looking at a style of leadership that works for you, one that really helped me is to think about leading actually as serving. And you probably have read The 1 Minute Manager. You touch base quickly with the people that on your team and asking them, how can I help? Instead of, have you done this, or do you have a problem? And seeing yourself very much as wanting to be their servant, their supporter, is something a bit more comfortable for certain kinds of people. And in this age of COVID, I also recommend adding, how are you managing? Because you'll learn a lot, and that will help you help them. So the last couple of things were your own needs, learning how to ask. You hear that all the time, don't be afraid to ask, but for certain kinds of people, asking is a big challenge, and yet it unlocks unbelievable opportunities that would never happen. So I force myself consciously to ask when I need things, and I recommend that very much for an entrepreneur, because there is no roadmap. No one thinks they need your product or your service, and you have to create ways to do that by asking them what they want and need. So I think when you are looking at sustainability, everybody knows that they have to think about this. But if you're a giant corporation, it's probably expensive and complicated to change your ways and to change the way you operate and the way you think. And yet, as an entrepreneur, you have this incredible opportunity to hardwire sustainability from the get-go into the things that you do. And I recommend that even if you're not considering a B Corp certification, you at least go through the process of applying for it, because the questionnaire throws up all sorts of blind spots. So even if you think you're doing such a great job to hire on diversity or to look after the environment, there are definitely areas that you haven't thought about, and that's a very free and useful way of going about things. And I recommend that you use that from the beginning to build your business. Lastly, the big thought that Viola and I have talked about is the CV. Some people consider the CV as in the LinkedIn definition, and all your accomplishments and your laundry list of ways in which you have exceeded expectations and norms. And yet, I would argue, and I think anyone who's ever lost a parent or gone through any kind of loss will think about an obituary CV. What do people actually remember about you? What do they actually care about? What do you actually leave? And those big questions usually boil down to, what have you done for others? And you may have an opportunity to do that or express that within your company. And maybe you'll have to go outside to charity work or other organizations, or just simply helping out people in your community or even in your family by donating a certain amount of your time to selfless pursuits above and beyond helping your business succeed. And the last part of that is your personal CV, which never shows up either on the obituary or on the LinkedIn. And these are the places where you're going to express the things on your personal bucket list, learning skills and following passions that really help you and give you a sense of pride that is not necessarily obvious to the outside world. But if you are consciously or unconsciously building your CV and your life experiences in those three areas, it can be very empowering towards self-knowledge and self-realization. And in the end, those are the things that matter the most. So I do always keep my door open to help anyone. I'm very passionate about mentoring, and I have, as Viola knows, a very exciting project in that area as well. And I look forward to getting together with the other people on this call who are also passionate about mentorship, because together we can all learn from each other. So please do keep in touch, and I'm always here to help.
Well, thank you so much. And here you have a clear example of this concept I learned some years ago about third culture kids. Third culture kids are kids who were moved from one culture to another in their years of formation. So the first culture is where they were, the second culture is where they gone, and the third culture is what they create. So for me, the way how Nicole talk and multilingual. It's very similar to the life, maybe in a different perspective, but we were moved from one country to another, from one culture to another in our years of formation. In my case, I changed my mother tongue 3 times. So, and I have accent in all the languages I speak. So this is, I think, the children, the adult children of third culture children who survive, they are like us. They are very open. We know that there is no much time to lose in so many things. We just connect. When we feel the connection, we go for it, and we are at service because we know how much we have needed that service that other people give us, handing us a hand or helping us to pronounce well. And I still remember all the kicking under the table when I went to Venezuela and I learned to speak Spanish out of school from what I hear, and sometime in a dinner table when everything was formal and was like, you have to be on the top, I will say a word that I learned from somebody else in the street, and I have that kick under the table and have to fix it very quickly. So I think we had so many mentors in our life, so many mentors for short time, for big time. For that, we're so passionate about mentoring others. And yes, Nicole, I think all these speakers in this group would love to hear about your project, and I'm sure we will be doing great things together. So, and thank you again for being with us today. It's such a joy to listen to you. And Paolo, may I ask you now to please to open the space for us all? No, before that, we have our dearest Janice, that I am here because of Janice. Because some years ago, we connected in a gathering because of Olga Balaklit, again, the power of network. And we had great, deep conversation with Janice. And since then, we built a great relationship. And I start supporting her. And I become her figure, her speaker for the Women Entrepreneurship Day, almost every year since then. And thanks to Janice that she insisted so much that I will be also in the platform of the WED. So WED has 2 ambassadors for Cyprus. This tiny island has 2 ambassadors because we have so much to do for the rest of the world. So welcome, dearest Janice. Tell us. And thank you again for being with us. Your microphone. Janice, yes, let's unmute. Yes, here we go.
You know how bad I am. Okay. Firstly, may I say my Viola?
Yes,
it is too much of a privilege. It is too much of a privilege and an honor that you are my shadow of WED, Cyprus. You are one of the most amazing ladies, and during the whole lockdown restrictions, you converted our event to an online event. You have given us great speakers today. I am humbled to you, my Viola, most humbled. What you do with your work, what you do in representing women is extraordinary. I bless you and I thank you humbly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Janice. Thank you so much. Talking about humbleness, a journalist, a great worker, writer, and a server for human expansion, and especially
But too kind to me, Viola. I'm one of these reporters that not many people like what I write about but we are going through troubled times with the COVID, with the pandemic, but we will always honor these amazing women.
Indeed, indeed, my dear. Thank you.
And again, I thank you for being my shadow. And I love
you see how I smile? Not always. Only
And I
when
never
Janice
bless
tells me
you.
in shadow, I smile. Thank you. Let's go now to the panel. Janice, stay with us, please. And let's
I
go
will
all
always
of us.
be with you.
Yes. Thank you. Hello, everybody again. Oh, Farah, you make it. You stay with us. So, hello, Chelsea. Hello, my sister Pauline and Nicole. And we know that.
Farah.
Hello.
Okay, so we're going to start with Farah. There is a question. Pauline, do you want to ask Farah the question yourself about being vegan? Can you make it as short as possible? We are very good in our time. We have 9 minutes, and all of us will be on time to continue our journey today. Many of us, we have other event to be with. So, Pauline, would you like to ask Farah your question directly?
Yes, Farah, hi. Thank you very much for your inspirational talk. Lovely to see you. I was just saying that I have been vegetarian for 24 years, but the past 10 years I became a vegan. And so I was just like, well done to you. But how was the transition? How are you finding it?
Yes, really interesting question. So for me, it was much easier on a personal level than for many others. I think the for most people, if they transition for whatever reason, whether it's for animals or environment or their health, the hardest thing to give up is cheese. And so I've been blessed in that respect because I've never eaten cheese or drank milk in my whole life. And that's really the most addictive thing in, as you would know, in animal products. So I was a pescatarian before I went vegan for 10 years. So I just ate fish and I didn't really eat dairy. So I just had to cut out the fish when I decided to go fully vegan. So yeah, it was great. And I feel so much better. I sleep better at night just knowing that I haven't taken anything from nature and I'm doing my little bit. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And here I am, another vegan since 1991, with some changes on the way, especially when I came to Cyprus in 2003 and didn't find many organic things or many things that I was used to, and go back to certain. So it's always a challenge, but with all the respect of each one of us, what we choose for our health, for the way how we eat and our families. It's great what you're doing, Farah. So we have a question for Nicole. So how is it? I mean, I know you shared with us all what you did, but some people are saying we cannot imagine this speaker being so exposed to a shyness, or the way how you said. So can you describe a little bit how was it back then for you when you were feeling so scared to come out? How is it? Describe as short as you can, because we can't. I understand that the person who asked this question cannot imagine this speaker with that characteristic.
It's still very much the case. I still get stage fright. I still have a heartbeat that picks up before I have to speak to other people. And I think it's very much like theater. You study how to change your behavior, even if you don't change the way you feel about things. And I think maybe you as a psychologist know a lot about cognitive behavior therapy, or ways in which you can overcome your actions just by changing your behavior. And then the expression you fake it till you make it, it's actually you have to fake it till you believe it, and you can then work backwards from who you need to be and learn the skills that help you be that person, instead of waiting for it to come spontaneously from within. So when you experience shyness, you'll feel a lot of physiological reactions to speaking with other people, especially in a public situation. And for example, you might feel your toes pulling up and making hard balls, almost like fists, with your feet. You might feel, I don't have this, but a lot of people, of course, might turn very red or start transpiring. So it is very physiological, and therefore you would think that it's probably something very deep-rooted in your actual physiognomy and not something that's necessarily due to your life circumstances or how people have interacted with you. And in the same family, you might have a full spectrum of behaviors from people. So I appreciate that you don't notice it. And yet it is very much a construct of practicing, just like piano, with doing your scales, so that when you play a tune, they don't know how much hard work has gone into it.
Yes, and I have a story about that. So in 2001, I was the only South American in the International European Conference for Management and Human Resources. And it was 2001, and I was talking already about the alchemy of emotion. Like, this subject in that time in Europe was not that easy. Anyway, I was prepared, I was ready, gone over so many things about shyness and talking. And then there they said, would you please do it in English? We have an issue with, and my English, imagine how it was back then. And I said yes, and I felt every word I was saying. I felt it was like, my knees were cracking all the time. And I felt like a little girl with it was the big amphitheater of one Sheraton hotel, I think, in Geneva. And, I was scared all the time, just hearing my voice so bad. But one thing I did that helped me is that as a psychotherapist, I learned, because I've been a patient of psychotherapy for long years, just declare what you're going through. So I just filter in my speech my fear, because I could hear my voice shaking. And I just I took 2 or 3 minutes and describe how my knees are feeling, how my back is feeling, how I'm so scared. And that helped me, because that brought the humanity to the field. Anyway, I survive. And I was used back then, being well known in South America. People come to me to sign and think. And when like 4 or 5 people come to me to ask me questions, so I was totally sure that it was terrible, So I just grieved my loss and said, that's it. And after like 3 days, I had a call and said, we are organizing, it was not online in that time. I don't know how they call it, but we want to keep all these speeches in our library. And I said, oh my God, it's this shame forever and ever. I'm going to deal with that forever. Anyway, it was recorded. And when they sent it to me, actually, it was not even half bad as I felt it. It was not, it's just our perception of what is our level of excellence. And this is something I want to share with you, because especially women, we expect from us so much to deliver in such a high standard. And well, the story doesn't stop there, because I was hired for another talk in another country. And when I arrived there thinking that English, it will do well for me now, it's okay. They asked me I should do it. It was Syria back then, my return to Arabic country after almost 30 years. And they asked me, actually, you have to do it in Arabic or French. We cannot do it in English here. So I had to go into the whole process again, but I understood my spiritual path. And I understood that it was like something I had to go through. So I did do my first speech in Arabic in that time, which people were laughing, because I will confuse mission by little chicken, or I will confuse word, because never I had by then taught in Arabic. But I think after that, it was like a christening. And then I come out of it with different shape and tone. So for all of you who make this question and who still feel shy or feel scared, we still feel that. It's just, as my husband, who is an extreme sportman, he said, we also feel the fear. We feel it, we fear it, and we do it anyway. So this is where we are nowadays. I'm sure Nicole, me, and many of us, that we are where we are today. And I just encourage you to go for it. So Farah, you have a question for Chelsea. Can you do it directly?
Yes, sure. So, Chelsea, very nice talk. Thank you very much. And Nicole and Dr. Pauline, everyone. So thank you all. And of course, the lovely ladies who've already left. Very quick question, Chelsea, my dear, because I'm sure a lot of people watching would have this same thing. We're obviously for Women Entrepreneurship Day. How important is it for a woman to have another woman mentor, or is it just not important? The most important thing is to have a mentor. That's the first question. And is it really important to have a professional mentor, or is a good friend enough?
Fantastic questions. Amazing talks from all the ladies here today on the line. Okay, wow. Two questions. So women, should it be a woman mentor for a woman? That's the question that we should be asking is, what are you wanting to achieve with your mentoring relationship? So what are the objectives here? So, a good mentor can signpost and work in a very systemic way with other professions. A good mentor shouldn't try and be all things to all people. I have a business mentor, a spiritual mentor, a health mentor. And so the question is, if I'm looking to, for example, learn public speaking, as we've been talking about with Nicole, you come to somebody like myself from public speaking mentoring. Why? Because I've spoken all over the world. I've had my own television channel and I've got the track record. So you're looking at what skills that you actually need to develop within your mentoring relationship. That is key. Doesn't matter if it's a woman, if it's a man, but the key thing is here as well is you're trying to find somebody who's walked the path that you're trying to walk already. That's the beauty of mentoring. It's passing on the experience. So what experience do you need to get, to improve your life or to improve your business? And that's where you seek the mentor, male or female. And of course, we wouldn't be here today. I absolutely love mentoring women-owned businesses. It's absolutely beautiful. Why? Because I've had the hardship and I've done, had that whole thing of, how do I start the business? How am I going to grow the business? I've been there before. So I think that's the answer to the first question. And like I said, with the second answer, it's very much have a business mentor, have a spiritual mentor, have as many mentors as you possibly can. We all heard from Richard Branson that, he has so many mentors. So the more the merrier.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's, yes. And that where we have different mentors in different time of our life, for short, for longer time. And I have to acknowledge here my two first mentor in my life in the early 80s, which is Dr. Umberto Blanco. Thanks to him, I become the transactional and analysis practitioner. And Neida Guasamukare, who taught me how to be a consultant and still mentoring me nowadays. Thank you both for all what you gave me. Nicole, you have a question for Pauline?
Yes, I wanted to ask her because what she's done is so extraordinary, because it's so big picture and practical, hands-on at the same time. These initiatives of the sanitary pads, or creating a television network. I mean, these are this skill set that she brings together, just like Farah and Chelsea, is so broad. But it sounds like, Pauline, your parents were to some extent mentors to you, and yet a lot of the people that you help, they don't necessarily have mentors. Do you find that is a necessary form of success, or can we really substitute the help that we get at home and the encouragement we get from parents with the proper mentorship?
Oh, Nicole, thank you so much. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I always say that a mentor should not just come from your home. It can be a neighbor, it can be a friend, it can be somebody you just watch on television, it can be somebody you just listen to their podcast. It can be somebody you can reach or you can't reach physically. But it's important to know that you're not alone. You can learn from anybody, anywhere in the world, especially now. You don't have to physically reach the person or speak to the person. It's incredible if you actually get to speak to the person or reach the person. But most important is identify, what do you want to do? What do you want to be like? There's somebody in this world who has done what you want to do. There's somebody in this world who is actually doing what you want to do. Somebody in this world who is actually like you. Just reach out. So for me, I was lucky that what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be started from the home. So my role was just to spread it out And like Chelsea, I mentor, especially in London, over 500 young people. But for the ones that I can't mentor, I pair them with my friends who are in places that they want to be. If there's a politician, like I have politicians in very high places, you know, former presidents, former MPs and that. But I link the young people around me with these people. So it's about pairing somebody with a mentor. I always say there's no point having all these people around me if I can't make good use of them. Somebody can make good use of them. Somebody can make good use of their knowledge. So it's really important that everybody finds a mentor. I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are, there's somebody out there that you have to admire.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it's so true, so true. And we are in between people that our name will come around. And I need to say, sorry, I need to finish this and say goodbye, but I can't finish it without talking about one of my latest mentors who come to my life, which is Laura Giodoro Koch. And she is teaching me a beautiful new concept of non-flick. But that will be, these comments about non-flick will be with another webinar, because all of us, we need to go now. We are just on time to leave. And I thank you so much for being here with us and for celebrating us today, especially, but every day of the year. Thank you. Thank you, Paolo Capelli, for being with us and taking, be in charge of the technical thing. And I'll be seeing you very soon. And thank you, Wendy Diamond, for creating Women Entrepreneurship Day, and Janice for doing all what you do for Cyprus. Bye-bye now.